Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Samantha, and in today's video I want to talk to you about two different math programs. First, I have the Christian Light Education Math 3, and then I have also to show with you is the Simply Good and Beautiful Math 3 as well. So since I happen to have both of these math programs in the same level, I wanted to give you guys a little look inside both of them and just to talk through some of the differences between these. Both of my girls have recently done math from both of these programs. So last school year into this school year, my youngest daughter was doing Simply Good and Beautiful Math 2, and then last year my oldest daughter did Simply Good and Beautiful Math 4, and then she did Math 5 this year before we finally shelved both of them and moved on from that program. And then they both tried out Christian Light Education and Life Pack. My oldest went for Life Pack and my youngest went for Christian Light Education. So since I had both of these, I have Simply Good and Beautiful Math 3 because since my daughter last school year was working through Math 2, I went ahead and bought Math 3 in preparation for the upcoming school year that was coming up, which would have been this past school year that we just finished. But what happened is there were several times where we had to put it on the back burner and pull out a different curriculum book or a different supplement to that curriculum to really hone in on some of those concepts that she wasn't really grasping. And so what I realized way too late was that she really needed something that had built-in mastery and not just a full-on spiral approach to math. The other thing is, while I do find value in a spiral math, the way that it's done by the Good and the Beautiful is just the way that their curriculum is laid out. It works wonderfully for some people, but for both of my girls, it just moved really fast. The concepts weren't taught in a way that they were understanding them. I was always having to go back and reteach concepts to them, and they were just struggling grasping, and it's just very, very overwhelming and cluttered with math. It's very pretty, but very cluttered, and there's a lot of fluff to it. So that didn't work for either one of my girls. And when you see the flip through for Christian Light, there's no color to this. It is just math. And Life Pack is similar, like it's just math, and that seems to work well for both my girls. Actually, my son also prefers math that doesn't have all of the extras. So I just wanted to break down what both of these programs include, and then I will share with you also a flip through of each one of these. So for Simply Good and Beautiful, there's really only two parts to it that you're going to get, at least at the Math 3 level. So you get the manipulatives box, and this is actually the original one. I've gotten an email that they've recalled this one because of the whiteboard, but this is the one that I have, and I don't plan on using it, so I didn't request like the, I don't know, the one that's not recalled. So it comes with this, and then there's this here that has the months of the year, and then temperature for freezing, boiling, and body temperature on it. And then it has a grid on here that's called an array map. And then it has these tangrams, a measuring tape, some little like game players, and then 4 different dice in here. So that's what the manipulatives are that you will get with Math 3. If you so choose. I know that they offer the complete program online for free, and I believe you can get all of the manipulatives in like a digitally, so you just have like paper manipulatives instead of getting this, but the box is also an option. And then you get your course book, but at the back of the course book you'll notice there's other like manipulative type things that you're going to need back here too. So there are these measurement sticks that you'll need for lesson 13, telling time clocks for lesson 11, area tiles for lesson 67, and then here's like something for a garden lesson, as well as some gallons, quarts, pints, and then here's some others. So along with that manipulative box, you also have things here at the back of the book that you're going to need to punch out and keep track of as well for those lessons. And then, you know, you have your table of contents. And like I said, I'll have a flip through of all of this. But I really wanted to just show you the main differences. So here is where they have references. So you have 2 pages of references. This includes your metric conversions, U.S. customary conversions, formulas, temperature, time conversions, order of operations, shapes, 2D and 3D, parts of equations, and a skip counting chart, as well as some geometry definitions. And then it goes into FAQ and supplies needed. And then you will start the lesson. And at the start of each lesson is a unit overview. It'll tell you how many lessons are in that unit, what concepts are going to be taught in that unit, what concepts are going to be reviewed and expanded on, as well as some extra supplies needed. So like I mentioned, there's a lot of moving parts to this. You get your manipulatives, whether you printed them out or you have the box. There's the punch out manipulatives, reference chart, and then whatever extra supplies you're going to need in here. And so a lot of that going on. And then there's always, you're going to start off with a mental math portion here, and then it'll go into your lesson. So Math 3 is the last level with Simply Good and Beautiful, where you're teaching your child the lesson. Once they go into Math 4, that's where they have access to the lessons that are being taught on video. And then, so you'll go through the whole lesson, which this is all the lesson here, these 2 pages. And then it walks you through that, and then you'll go into your lesson practice there. And then after your lesson practice, you'll also have review and activities. And you'll see more of these throughout the flip through, but I just kind of wanted to give you guys an idea of the layout. Okay, so this is like some tips on how to master multiplication in it. And then you'll go into lesson 2 here, and it'll repeat. You have your lesson that you're teaching with some practice throughout. Then you'll have your lesson practice and your review and activities before you go into the next lesson. So as you can see from looking at those pages that I just showed you, and then also what you'll see in the flip through, like I said, it's a very, very pretty and beautifully done curriculum, but it is very cluttered and can be overwhelming for certain kiddos. So that was the case for mine. And all kids are different. It might work really well for your kids, and that's totally fine. And if it doesn't, then you just find something else that works. So let's go ahead and show you Math 3 with Christian Light. And there are quite a bit of moving parts to this as well, mostly just because of all of the things that you have to have, all of the books that it includes. So for Math 3, you need to have a set of the multiplication and division flashcards. What I've noticed is it's nice to just get the ones that they sell, because they have them all labeled and they tell them when to use what cards during the curriculum. So you start using these cards at the end of Math 2, and then you need them throughout Math 3. Then you also have here a math reference chart. This does not, so these do not come with a curriculum. These are separate purchases. But you will want to have this math reference chart, because one of the things that they're working on with CLE is mastering a lot of the things that are on here. So they work on time or speed drills for addition, subtraction, multiplication in Math 3. And then in other levels, they're going to start working on memorizing the metric and the U.S. measurement system. So this has a lot of the same things. It has your multiplication tables on here, fractions, mixed numbers, expanded numbers, math symbols, negative numbers, subtraction names, addition names, variables, using the tables to divide, multiplication names, division names, multiples, the definition of that. Like I said, it has your metric and U.S. measurements. It has your geometry on here with lines, rays, angles, polygons, circles. It has pi. your clock, your days of the week, days of the month, or days in a month, your times, so like 60 seconds equals 1 minute and all of that, and then geometry measurements and the equations for those. So that's everything included on this chart, and it is an additional purchase, but it's very inexpensive. CLE Math does have a teacher's guide available. I'll show you just a few of the pages in the flip through, but this is kind of worked out in a way, at least for Math 3, it's only one teacher's guide. I think after Math 3 you get multiple, or you have the option to purchase multiple. And so in here it starts off with an introduction all about the course, your materials, how it's laid out. You have title bars, the flashcard system, your speed drills, a we remember section, which is how it builds in that spiral for things that they've already mastered. And then there's always a just for fun section. And then each one of the light units has a test here in the middle. From what I've gathered from people when I went and watched reviews of CLE is they take these out and either have their kids do them at the end or they don't do them at all. I leave it in. My daughter just goes past it, and then if I feel like having her take the test, she takes it. She doesn't always take them. Sometimes she does. And then at the back of the book, there are usually 2 quizzes. So it starts in book 2. Each book 1 of each level is all pre-tests and practice. So there's no quizzes in there, but there is like a final test. But you will find quiz 1 and quiz 2 at the end of all of the other course books. The other thing that they have at the end of at the back of the book are the speed drills. So at the beginning of every lesson, there's like a checklist here of all the things that they need to do. So let's go to lesson 1. So there's like a checklist here of all the things they need to do. So count forward and backward by 10s to 100. Practice your G and time zone flashcards for 5 minutes. So the G flashcards are the addition and subtraction flashcards. We do have those also, but I didn't get them out to show you. So you'll want to have those as well. And then do speed drill 1 on page 161. So that would be over here. And then record your score on the graph on page 60. And that's here. And we actually don't do that. My daughter does the speed drills and then we record right there, but we don't put it on the graph. And then it goes into the problem. And so one of the things I really like about CLE is, as of the 2nd grade level, really, we didn't do CLE 1. My daughter did work through and is working through level 2 before she moves into level 3. And it's really taught straight to the child. So as long as your kiddo can read, they can do their math independently, and you just check in on them, make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, or make sure that they know that they can come to you if they have any questions. So this has really been a game changer for me, because with The Good and the Beautiful, we were side by side for however long it would take. I had to end up capping the amount of time we would spend on math because those lessons would take so long. And it wasn't, it's just not an independent math for a while. So almost very early on, as soon as your kids can read, they can do CLE on their own. And it's just really straightforward. There are quite a bit of problems per lesson, I will say, but it hasn't seemed to overwhelm my daughter, just because I feel like the layout is just done. There's not a whole lot of color, and the layout's just done in a way that it's not overwhelming. So there's about 3 pages per lesson of work, but it has never taken her anywhere near as long as a lesson from The Good and the Beautiful would take her. So really enjoy that. And that's just a quick look of how the math is for Christian Light. And again, you guys can see all of that in the flip through. So I'm only showing you guys a couple of pages in the teacher's guide, and I just wanted to talk through some of it with you. So for each light unit, you're going to have a light unit overview, and it's going to tell you all of the skills and concepts that are being taught in that unit, and if you want to add in extra manipulatives, what they're going to use. But it's not like, it's not a whole lot of extra stuff. It's like rulers, a teaching clock, and maybe some practice money if you want to add that in if they're still working on that hands-on. But really you don't need a whole lot to add to this. My daughter usually is just pulling out a ruler and her reference chart for her math. So then in the teacher's guide there is an introduction for each light unit, and this tells you kind of like at the beginning the overview to the book itself. It tells you how do I use Math 301. So this can be used in a classroom, so it has a classroom description here of how to use it, but it also tells you homeschools and individual schools, how you can do it there, and then some tips here for some slower learners. And then it breaks down what a typical lesson in Math 301 looks like. And then it talks about this is also available to Canadians, and they also show how you can tailor it to if you're a Canadian. And so then you go to the lesson pages. So this is lesson 1 of 301. And like I said, 301 is all pre-test. So they're going to be doing pre-test at the beginning. If they don't get a certain amount right or make a certain grade, then they will do the additional practice for those problems. But if they do, then they just keep going to the next pre-test until they're done with that book, and then they go on to 302, which is where Math 3 really begins. And I believe there's 17 lessons in each light unit. So here is the 302 overview, and then there's lesson 1. And in here, you're always going to see the same pages that your kiddo has in their book. So it says what you need to prepare for your lesson. So the flashcards you're going to need, the ruler, what drill they're doing. So lesson 1 will be speed drill 1. And then the story, there's always a story at the beginning of each light unit. So this is the story that your kiddo will read, or you can read to your kiddo. And it just goes with some of the story, it goes with the story problems. So these are the work pages that are in the 301 or 302 lesson, lesson 1. So there's that one. And you see exactly what they see, only you have the answers. And then it goes into the next unit. And yeah, so let's go ahead and continue with the flip through. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed seeing a flip through of both the Simply Good and Beautiful Math 3 and the Christian Light Education Math 3. And really, I hope that you got an idea of the differences and similarities of both of these programs. And if you're interested in either one of them and you've kind of been debating between either one, I hope that this was detailed enough to help you make your decision. If you guys have any questions for me about either of these programs, please go ahead and put them in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a like. If you aren't already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!